Plat, isn't that out of order? Can we overcome that objection?
On what basis?
That we are trying to talk about an amendment or a new rule, and can't we continue discussing that rule that's on the table?
Well, if the motion to table is defeated, then the motion's not put on the table, we continue to discuss it. If it's put on the table, we can take it off the table at any time.
Point of information.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, is the motion to table the gentleman's complete rewrite, or is it to table consideration of Rule 44 in its entirety?
Table the complete rewrite.
Thank you.
And it's a debatable. Table. No. Motion to table.
Point of information, if this table is going, if it's going to be tabled, is it going to be tabled for a certain amount of time until we?
So we pull it off the table.
Okay.
Can we move to vote?
Okay. The motion to table is the motion is the motion currently under consideration. It's been seconded. We have 10 minutes of debate on the primary motion, of which some was used, 4 minutes, 35 seconds. This is a new 10-minute period of debate, which we can also debate consideration of the rule and the merits of the rule, as well as why it should be tabled or not tabled. Matt, would you like to speak?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I think we should begin with the existing Rule 44 and amend it. One of my biggest objections to the write-up by Mr. Hund is that it's got what I think is one of the most Democrat ideas I've ever seen, which is we separate responsibility from authority, and it grants the CEC and individual precinct chairs under the indemnity clause a lot of authority, and then it divorces them of the responsibility of their actions. Our current Rule 44 does some of that because it has an indemnity clause, which I believe we should strike, because I think that each party, whether it's the RPT, the SREC, the CEC, or the individual precinct chairs, should be responsible for their own actions. Some people will say, well, you know, the CECs don't have the money to defend themselves, or individual precinct chairs don't. Well, neither does the RPT or the SREC. So if you're going to go and censure somebody, then you need to be willing to stand on your own 2 feet and defend that position. You can't shift that responsibility to somebody else. That is thoroughly unjust and absolutely wrong, in my opinion. So I do think that we can amend 44. I think that this is not the right starting point for it, for Dan's proposal. I respect the work that went into it. I was in the chat group. I saw a lot of the comments and agreed with some of them as well. So I think those are things we can take up. But I think that Rule 44 needs to be tweaked a bit. I don't think it needs a complete rewrite.
Thank you. Dan?
Mr. Chairman, Daniel Hunt, SD3.
Yes.
The problem with what Mr. Patrick just brought up is...
Against the motion to table, correct?
This is against the motion table, sorry. Yes, many counties did want to censure their elected officials, and those elected officials used just the threat of a lawsuit to intimidate those people into not censuring, and that's unacceptable. Someone shouldn't be able to use their office to scare their employer into not doing something, because that's what we're talking about. The elected official is the employee, and the voters are the employer, and that's exactly what the elected officials are doing. In fact, if anyone should have been censured, it was the ones who did threaten. But the average volunteer precinct chair doesn't have the money to hire an attorney and defend a lawsuit, and so they are just scared to death when they hear the law. And most precinct chairs are not attorneys. I happen to be an attorney. A lawsuit wouldn't threaten me, but the average precinct chair is just scared to death by that. So I respectfully disagree with Mr. Patrick.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Parker?
Point of information,
Yes.
are we debating the motion or the motion to table? 'Cause
Motion
It
to
seems like we're
table.
debating the motion itself.
We're debating the motion to table, however, giving a lot of leeway because the decision on whether or not to table will have something to do with the content of that motion as well.
Thank you.
Greg Parker, SD4. I'm against the motion to,
against.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm
Against?
against the motion, this motion to table. I think this is nothing more than a delay tactic. Simple and plain, just delay, 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 maybe to even water it down. If Mr. Patrick wants to make an amendment to what's here, that's fine, but I think this just needs to go forward, period.
Thank you. For or against?
Against.
Anyone else for?
Mr. Chairman.
For. John, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, John Beckmeyer, SD 31. Sorry, I was SD 28 so long ago, think about it. I support Mr. Patrick's motion to table. When you read through this, this is another step towards a top-down control of the county parties in the Republican Party of Texas. We are a bottom-up organization. We have prided ourselves for years and years for being a grassroots-driven organization. Right now, if your county wants to censure someone, they can censure them and they're censured. But now we're shifting that to say, okay, we recommend to censure SREC. Would you censure this person? Not would you just agree with the penalties, but would you censure this person? And it goes against the very structure of this organization that close to 20 years ago we started trying to pull away from being a top-down organization. And that's why I'm in support of Mr. Patrick's motion to table.
Thank you. Randy?
Thank you, Randall Dunning, SD2. And though I don't want to address the merits of this, I want to address the procedure of it, because I think that's what's at controversy here. We have a rule that has been in debate and has been worked on, and many committees have sat through and worked on. I know I've done it in the past. And what we have here is one proposal being done as a total substitution. We're just going to substitute this with the work of one individual. And whether that works good or not, that can be debated later. But what I think is wrong with this process is we need to actually go through the rule and work through it as a committee, not just take a complete overthrow, which changes, by the way, it'll take the entire dynamic of the thing, because I guarantee you whatever is put out by one person will be beaten senseless by this committee.
Randy, are you for or against?
I said I am for the motion to table because I think this process is of a out of the gate complete substitutionary amendment is not the right way to address the issues that this committee needs to take up with Rule 44.
Just add a minute to him. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Dan Hunt, SD3, can I make just a clarifying statement?
We're counting Randy's time as in favor, even though he said against before. So
Yes.
we're redoing the time.
No, you're for the.
You just said you were for.
You're for the table motion. Yes. It's okay, I screwed up earlier too. Mr. Chairman, I just
Yeah.
want to clarify, this was not something I came up with on my own. I want the
Are you
committee to
speaking
understand that.
against?
I'm speaking against the tabling motion, correct. I've been working with a group of approximately, I don't know, there's probably 25 people in our group across the state that have been working on this, the language that's in this proposed amendment. And so I just want the committee to know this is not something I came up with on my own.
Thank you. Josh, do you want?
Josh Flynn, SD15. This is not a discussion about, or this motion is not about the merits of either proposal. This is strictly allowing the people that have worked on other amendments besides just yours, but everybody else has amendments for 44 as well, but they have been addressing the current rule. If you substitute it, then all of their work has been gone. And so all we want to do is use the original one, have everybody do their motions, and then at that point, if we've finished that, then we can take up your substitution motion for that.
Thank you. Anyone else against the motion to table? Yes, or against?
I'm against Brenda Platt, SD 12. I think that we should have a chance to discuss his changes, Daniel's changes, so that we can look at that one, and then after that, we can go to the other people's amendments and changes and have a chance to listen to theirs. His is on the table right now, and we should have a chance to listen to what he has to say and what people are for it and what people are against it.
Justin. Thank you. Justin, do you still want to
Well, yeah,
talk, or do you want me to go to Chris?
I don't want Justin Nichols, SD 26, and I am proud to say that I wrote substantively most of Rule 44 last convention, and it was the version that I admit is imperfect, but I think deserves to be improved before it is trashed. This is the last that we've lived under this for only 2 years. It is a bit of, rules are a bit of trial and error to see how they are put in practice. I'm the first to admit that it can be improved. But I would at least like the opportunity to hear from the committee some new voices and voices who have been here on how we can do that after we have seen it in place before we set it entirely aside and consider this motion. I think we owe it to keep as close a rule as we can and make it as, instead of getting rid of a rule in its entirety and replacing it, this is a rule that is substantively just 2 years old. And I think we can spend our time improving it versus debating at great length an entire rewrite at this point.
Time has expired. Does anyone else want to speak against?
Greg Parker, SD4. This is not in, I know a lot of you are thinking this is an entire rewrite. While it does include some new stuff, a lot of it is still some of the old stuff, as a matter of fact, and it goes on to improve that. And I came with an amendment to adjust Rule 44 as well, found out that this gentleman had done a lot of the work I had already done. And I'm just going to make some tweaks and changes to what he's done. I understand the point you're trying to make, but I still just believe this is just simply just a delay tactic to water down what can be a stronger Rule 44.
Thank you. Anyone else? Are you for the motion to table or against?
I'm for the motion to table.
Okay, we've reached 5 minutes. I know. Okay. Seeing no more, we will vote. This is a vote on the motion to table the Hunt amendment. So,
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
yes.
Under Roberts 1284, is it not the normal procedure to consider amendments and then consider a substitute afterward?
It is, yes,
It's a
you're
more
correct.
complicated procedure, but, okay.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to table, which would table the Hunt amendment. No on the motion to table would then proceed to consideration of the Hunt amendment, just to be clear. So all in favor of the motion to table, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
Mr.
I'm going to do a standing vote just so everyone's confident in it. I believe the ayes have it, though. Everyone, all the ayes, please stand up. Okay, all opposed? Please stand. And any abstentions, stand? Two.
Two abstentions.
How many okay. It's two? Got it. By vote 22 to 6 to 2 abstentions, the motion to table passes. Moving on to consideration of additional amendments under Rule 44. Now, that'll be eligible for a motion to pull off the table at any point in time, presumably after we continue with Rule 44.
True.
Anyone else have amendments to Rule 44
Okay.
for consideration?
We don't need a motion to take up the current Rule 44, like we did for?
No.
No? Okay.
We're on Rule 44. There was the Hunt Amendment. The Hunt Amendment got tabled, therefore we're on Rule 44, open for motions, and I know several of you had motions, so. Yes, Steve?
Very good. Excuse me just a minute while I pull it up real fast. Okay, I have three, and I'd probably like to take them one at a time. If the SREC confirms censure based on 3 or more priority votes, all legislators making identical votes let me hold on.
Can you increase the size of what's on the screen? I'm sorry. Not yet. Which portion of 44? Need to know where he wants his legislature.
Steve, where do you want your language?
Let me see.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm looking for, I have that. Probably at the end of A. Because it both deals with process and penalties. Any advice on that?
Is that where you want it?
Yeah.
You see?
That would be fine, yes. Okay, let me go back to my, okay, let me start again. If the SREC confirms censure based on 3 or more priority votes, all legislatures making identical votes shall be automatically censured, suffering identical penalties without censure being originated from his or home district. In other words, the focus is on the penalties and not the individual. In several areas, I heard that in Tarrant County, we successfully censured one state representative, but there were a lot of people who made identical votes and got off scot-free. And if these votes are to be enforced, if this is to be enforced, it has to be equally enforced across the board.
Okay.
Second, Brandon Moore, SD 21.
Second by Brandon Moore. Steve, do you want to speak to your amendment? Sorry, let me just get the clock up. Go ahead.
Yes, I just did. That's
okay. That's fine. Anyone else for or against? Yes.
Mr. Chair, I have a...
You for or against?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just have a point of inquiry.
David Westbrook, SD19. I rise against this motion. The whole point of 44, I was on the committee that passed it originally, and the whole point is for the county convention, the local people to hold their own people accountable. This goes right around that. And no, if the people locally don't think that the person needs to be censured, then they don't get automatically censured because somebody in a different county thought they should be, or somebody else should be, as it were.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have an inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. State your inquiry.
Well, the question that I have is where we have a reference as written about priority votes. Is that meant to speak generally to legislative priorities, which if that's the case, obviously our rule contemplates principles as well. So I'm curious if the author, what the intent is by the author here.
Mainly to correct a problem where, like I said, we successfully censured one rep. And then, like I said, across the state, there were dozens of people who had identical votes. And if the SREC upholds that one censorship for that, if you want to call it a crime, I guess, then it's got to be equally processed across the board. Otherwise, I think you give someone who in court that a defense that this is not being equally applied.
Thank you. Matt, are you for or against?
I'm against.
Then Dan, are you for or against?
I'm against that, definitely.
Okay.
I'm against it.
Just had, are you for or against? Okay. Let's go Matt and then Dan.
Matt Patrick, SD16, I'm against this. It's, to echo a little bit about what Mr. Westbrook said, it does sort of strip away the right of individual county executive committees to censure their own rep. Another thing that I think will happen is what you're essentially doing is sweeping in a bunch of representatives into a basket based on supposedly 3 identical acts, which may, it's kind of far-fetched to begin with. But when it gets to the SREC, I think it will alter the voting pattern of the SREC members in a way that is likely to make censures less likely to happen. Because you may be looking at a censure that some county executive committee from a different area wanted to pass, and you agree that those were censurable items, but then suddenly you'll be told, or you should know, hey, that would also affect my rep. My rep, I don't think, did these things, or we chose in our county not to censure him. Therefore, I'm not going to vote in favor of this censure because I don't want my person to get swept up in it. I think it will actually make censures less likely to happen if we put this in there. So I'm against this.
Thank you. And next, Dan.
Dan Piggins, SD 28. I'm exactly verbatim with what Matt just said, so I don't need to really say anything else. SD 16 people, we stick together one way or the other.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just a quick moment of personal privilege. I'd like to recognize the fact that we have 22 years worth of SREC experience from SD16 on the committee between me and Dan and Randy. So
Anyone who pats themselves on the back for a personal privilege speech has to be secretary for the next day. Go ahead.
Daniel Hunt, SD3. I speak against this amendment. Another issue is that both at the CEC level and at the SREC level, the target of the censure is given an opportunity to speak. If this was to pass, that would eliminate that person's ability to at least come in and defend themselves before the censure decision is made.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, Brandon Moore, SD21, in favor.
Okay, go ahead, Brendan.
Been some great points brought up here, and I respect what Mr. Westbrook and Mr. Hunt just pointed out, but I do think that we're trying to make it equitable. When we censure someone, and it comes to the state level, when we censure someone for an action, and yet other people get away with that same action, we are then being inconsistent. So I think maybe, to Mr. Hunt's point, we need to figure out how to make sure that they still have the opportunity to come present their own defense, et cetera. But I do like the idea of equitability that I think Mr. Atwell is trying to achieve.
Thank you. John, do you still want to go?
Sure. The way Rule 44 is written right now, this language is in conflict with it. The SREC doesn't confirm a censure, it confirms a penalty or concurs with the penalty. And again, this puts more of a top-down twist on things, and there is, outside of the party more than anything, somewhat of a due process problem here, which is some of what was spoken to already.
Thank you. Chris.
Chris Sasha, SD14, speaking in opposition. I largely am opposed conceptually to the idea of turning this into a strike counting exercise. I think we need to be sitting there and taking a look holistically and qualitatively of what they've done against the party platform, not just quantitatively. So on that note, I just feel like this is just compelling action. I'm in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion as it's put on the screen. So if you're voting yes, you're voting to include the underlined language in Rule 44. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
What's wrong with you?
I'm going to try that again. All in favor, say aye.
To pay attention.
All opposed? Nay. The noes have it, the motion fails.
Mr. Chairman, I submitted, Gene Martin, SD30.
Yes, Gene.
Submitted a revision to the process section under Rule 44. I wonder if it would be appropriate at this time to take that up.
Absolutely. Let's get it up on the screen.
Okay. All of that text is not rewritten. I actually have track changes over here. And I will admit, this is my first time on the Rules Committee, and
Do a screenshot.
me and my dog sat down to rewrite this. So
Hold on one second. Before you start talking, we're going to get it up on the screen. We'll do a screenshot so it gets the coloring consistent from the email. But
well, I'll make a couple comments that
hold on. No, we got to get it up first. Don't make comments yet. Okay. So your motion was to add the language in red? What is,
it is replacing some text that does not show the strikeout. It is trying to make it more of a
Okay.
process.
hold on. I just want to get what the language is up there first and make sure we have what's stricken out. He's not in argument yet. You got it?
Yeah, but it's still not a strike through.
We got to figure out what this.
Probably some extra. So, maybe.
Gene, can we take, we have to redline it because there wasn't a strike-through submitted. Can we take another motion and then do this one as soon as we get the strike-through next? Or we can just wait?
Well, mine hasn't been seconded yet, so sure.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else who has one we could do while we're striking through Gene's?
I have one.
We got to do some work in order to show it. Yeah, why don't we take a bathroom break, take 10, we'll reconvene at 4:20. Stand at ease. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, just raise your hand, we'll keep it going.
And think about where you want it to go.
Yes.
The first one?
So you sent me three things, but you didn't say where it should go. I'm working on something else right now.
Okay,
So-
I'll send that to you, okay?
Or just let me know at the time. Hey, take this from me. Somebody get.
Yes, sir. Hey, how's it going, Don? I'm ready to get.
Hi. It's, you are so kind. I'm giving that to my husband because I can't eat that.
Joy, I
She
thought
made
you
that.
were someone that I knew a long time ago, and I kept looking at him going, that guy would not be here.
Amy,
I staring at your face because you look great deal like someone I'm not. Atwood, last name Atwood?
What's a different?
You have a twin down in,
I'm not doing that.
do you really? Lovely, lovely man.
So is it the email address I'm using is whatever's on our website for the committee?
Well, I tried to make it so that
So as soon as I finish this, I'll get with you and I'll fix it.
is that whole concept is lost. Real quiet. Just an engineer.
I see 'em. What are they doing?
You did get my definition.
Homemade.
So, and that's part of my thinking. That's like the global graph. We don't get to that. If we're going reverse sequential order, we don't get to that with rule 1. Just might get pulled.
Let me, is everything okay over
Well,
there?
say hello or anything.
Yeah.
Eastland.
I got
Is the correct one, and it should be, it's the only one. I have on
Okay,
file.
I'll resend it, and
I've got-
maybe
I'm
that
getting
would help.
I don't think I've gotten any from you, but I've gotten some of my
Well, I'm working up here, Sharia legislative priorities.
speak off or something.
No, I'm not happy. Wow. This one got to where it was actually 2,800. This one was 2060, so I could still at least get around. And when I got them fixed, I could see a golf ball at 250.
Go to the bathroom. We're gonna turn this around. Get back on there.
Look at my buffalo grass. All my buffalo grass died. Right.
This is the bone.
It's 2002. I got permission to build a well, and it cost me $4,300. That's all I use for outside water.
This class of documents, that's your product.
If I didn't have a well in, I wouldn't be able to put one. Good for you.
Rooting for you, but taking a beating right now.
Yeah.
2.5 gigawatts? In how long?
Makes me feel a little better.
Yeah.
Find out, won't we? Good stuff.
Okay.
It's supposed to be there, and I checked my junk.
I got common sense, and it made sense. For a non-lawyer type, it made sense. It wasn't that bad in the weeds, but some would think.
You didn't say megawatts? Okay.
And
Mega
that's how
giga
it
thing
goes.
is.
What is your email?
Parker.
I told you, I'm an engineer. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I don't know what is up.
Not just going, you gotta be a participant. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. How you doing, man? Hey, how are you? Good to see you. How you been?
Any particular order? That's the order? It would be 21.
One questionable nexus. Those are guys I work with every day. Just about, yeah. In the same department. But then.
But in our bylaws,
We have.
rules, if you could.
It's going to be a long night.
Rule 8 mentions the whole electronic meetings and whatnot. Is that allowed at any time willy-nilly, or does the chair actually have to say that there is an emergency? Okay, that's good to know. Exactly, right?
Oh, the Gina battles. Oh, that brings me back.
Ran out of gas in my car, guys.
You know, I was very young, much younger. I remember being stringent.
Any of the censor has to do with limiting, preventing.
The second one is.
All right, we're about to get back up.
So anybody who's a registered lobbyist or who's, apparently there's.
Thank you.
Have them set aside and not.
Yeah, no, there.
Everybody take your seats.
Is it on the chair or the audience?
Oh, the ones that you.
You want to see this?
I want to remind everybody,
Move it, I'll second it.
Okay.
that's why we have reading glasses.
Oh. You want me to send it?
I don't know how to do it.
K and 8S.
As well. Yeah, I got you.
To make the text bigger.
I want to remind everybody, when you're submitting your amendments where it's not adding text, please do a red line where the added text is underlined and anything currently existing that you are taking out is stricken through.
One more, Rachel, one more.
Okay, but that misses some of it.
Oh, green here.
See what you get?
That's not too bad.
This is the main chunk.
Gene, does this accurately reflect your amendment?
It is almost precise. Under number 3, at the end, at the break between allegations and the county or district, everything starting with the county or district is not part of number 3. It should be offset to start a new subparagraph, unnumbered.
So this should be unnumbered?
No. If you put the cursor at in the county,
This?
yes, and make a line feed and then delete the full, there you go.
Okay. Is there a second? The motion is reflected on the screen. I'll give you time to read it.
It's not on mine yet. I might have to update again and see if it'll update it.
Can we still make it a little bigger?
Yeah, but he took part of 3 away.
Two people told me they liked it.
Is there a second?
We're trying to look at it.
Gene?
I'll second. Carmen Calderon, SD 27.
Okay. Second by Carmen. Gene, do you want to speak in favor?
Yes.
Sorry, I gave you more time than usual because I know you guys hadn't read it and there was a bunch of text there.
And I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
A couple of things. I added the concept of a verifiable allegation being presented. I tried to strengthen the fact that we are going to give an accused or an alleged misconduct, give the person an opportunity to specifically respond, defend himself. Other than that, it is retaining the intent, as I understand it, of the original text, but I tried to put it into a form that is more of a real process for how it happens. Okay? And down towards the bottom, I added in the reference to giving them a copy of the, or where the principles are found in the current party platform. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Anyone else against? Yes. Go ahead. Well, ask it of me and then.
Mr. Chairman, what is a district executive committee?
Gene, can you answer that? Speak in favor.
Yeah, it's the same thing that is in the original current text.
Did you find Rachel's email?
It is, and not totally, it is a use that can be, but I think is rare, where outside of a convention, basically a Senate district meeting is called, can be called by the state chair.
Thank you. All right, anyone for or against?
Against.
Okay, Dan, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Daniel Hunt, SD3. I have some problems with some of the language in this. Upon receiving verifiable allegations, well, the problem is they're not verifiable until you've gone through the censure process and decided if they're verifiable or not. It says at the end of the first section, meet expectations required to be a Republican candidate for public office shall. Well, that means they have to censure somebody if they have the censures, if they have to go start the process. I don't think we should force any CEC to go through the process. I think that we need to leave that up to the CEC whether they want to do it or not. And so that's, for those reasons, this language is not good the way it is at all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to vote now. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. All opposed? No. The noes have it, the motion fails. Anyone else? Steve, you had some.
Microphone, here we go. If the SREC confirms the censure based on 3 or more, wait, that's the wrong one. That was the one y'all had like before. No legislator shall be required to legislator shall be required to testify during the regular or special sessions. And the reason I did that, I remember it was 6 years ago where there were some abortion law votes. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I do
Do you have language?
Yeah, I just, here, let me reread it to be clear.
Did you just send it before you do argument? Let's get it up there and get a second. Where do you want it?
I tried to find a place that was just one big, long, run-on sentence that was in there. But it would be at the end of the, let me pull it up real quick. Hold on. Yeah, I'll look at the hard copy real quick. There's a section in there that talks about the 2/3. Let's see. Right after describes, no, hold on. Back over here.
There?
Yeah, in the process section at the end, after it says Rule 34C, in between it
wrong
says
section?
any resolution of censure. They look like the best place for that.
Can you look up on the screen and see if she has it in the right place?
Can you scroll down a little bit?
You scroll down.
Yeah, where it says 34C, there's a new sentence that says, any resolution.
Yeah.
That's where I think it should be inserted.
Right before it?
Right before it says any.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Sorry.
You're good. So adding the amendment is to add, the proposed amendment is to add the underlined language in red. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second,
Becky.
SC 17.
Second by Becky Green. Steve, do you want to speak to it?
I think it was 6 years ago that we had a censorship going on, and I can't remember if it was a special session or a regular session, but there was a required meeting by executive committee, and there were several important votes that were coming up that week or during that time, and one of them was a pro-life bill. I feel like we need to have our representatives in place voting on these bills, and if it means just postponing just a little bit more time for a session to end so they can come and defend themselves, I think that's part of due process. And that's it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So under the current Rule 44, are legislators required to testify at all?
No. Anyone else?
But if they want to accept, can I speak to that?
Yeah, let me go against, and then you can take up some more, we still got plenty of time. Anyone else against? No? Okay, Steve, go ahead.
I know some of the reps that I've talked to, they would like to defend themselves in front of what constitutes a jury, but they also want to do their duty to their people they represent. And if they're giving a date that they just can't work out, then I don't think that's fair. I think you need to have a level playing field there, give them a chance to come address the concerns of the executive committee and defend themselves, but also let them do their jobs. Because there's some important bills that are very close and we need their vote. And and also there may be a censurable item up for vote, and that could just kind of compound their problems. But this is a level playing field type of situation, and hope you can support it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, point of information.
Yes, please state.
Matt Patrick, SD 16.
Your point of information.
Do we know, or could we ascertain from the person who submitted this, if the intent of this or the practical effect of this is to delay any censures from the CECs until after the session is over?
The author like to speak to this?
It's not my intent. It's just, I'm a big believer in due process, and as a constitutional conservative, I believe that they need the opportunity to defend themselves. And I've had friends who have been that were censured or tried to be censured in the middle of a family situation where they had a family member die, and we need to be more sensitive to that and give them the opportunity to defend themselves. Whether it delays it a week or two, I don't think that should matter. But the session's in order, and
This just says that
okay,
the censures won't happen during session.
Steve still has the. Okay, Steve, you good? You're done.
Yes.
Matt, do you want to speak against, for? If there's a concern, you can.
Fine, I'll speak.
Okay. We'll count as against since you're not for.
Yeah.
Did you want to speak to?
So I think the effect of this is going to be to push censures out of the term of the legislative session, including special sessions. And so these censures will end up being pushed to the summer or early fall prior to the primary filing, which I think was actually what we were encouraging CECs to do this last time. So, thank you.
Thank you. Dan.
Mr. Chairman, Daniel Hunt, SD3. I'm speaking against. Right now, if a legislator needs to come and testify in front of a CEC, it may take at most a day. I would think they would be able to work with the CEC to find a day where they're not going to have to be on the House floor, maybe a Saturday or something like that to do this. I certainly agree that the person should have an opportunity to defend themselves, but I don't think this is appropriate. It actually invites, if it's a legislator, it would apply. But what if it's what if it's some other state official? I mean, there's lots of problems with it.
Thank you. Against or for? And then against or for, Dan?
For.
Dan, go ahead.
I have no problem with what it says, but I'd offer a quick, friendly, 3-letter extension to it. I would go ahead and reiterate again right before regular, CEC, regular or special session. Put CEC in there. Although it's up above, I think it reiterates again and reestablishes what the point is.
That doesn't really make sense.
That totally changes the whole meeting.
I mean the legislative regular or special session. That's what Steve is getting at. But Steve, do you want to accept the friendly amendment? Say no.
Read it again. I didn't understand it.
Just say no.
Say no. Okay, no is fine. Sorry.
Okay.
Right here.
Do you want to still speak for, or
Talking to you.
you good? Carmen, for or against?
Against?
Okay. I'm going to go to Randy first because he raised his hand first.
Randy Dunning, SD2, speaking against the amendment. Again, this is an interesting thing where we're carving out this exception, okay, during the regular legislative session. Okay, so then the next thing that's going to come along is someone's going to say, well, let's also not do it during the time when anyone's running for office. And you see where this goes. You literally kill this with the death of 1,000 exceptions.
Thank you.
I don't want to crack that door open.
For or against?
Against.
Carmen. I can do Carmen, then you.
Okay. I'm in favor of the intent behind this, but the way it's worded, I can't support it. I think it would need to be something more along the lines of no state legislators' censure meetings should be held during regular or special session of the state legislature. So if you want to change or I can make it a.
Is that a friendly amendment?
Yes.
I accept it.
Do you want me to send that to you? Would that be easier? No state legislators' censure meeting should be held during regular or special state legislator session.
The issue was rejected.
Because they don't testify.
No state legislator.
Yeah.
No censure proceeding.
There you go.
No censure proceeding be more accurate?
Yes.
No censure proceeding shall be, well, no. No legislator shall, no. Can you come up here and work on the language?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, point of information.
Go ahead.
Will this open the door to the governor calling infinite numbers of special sessions to protect Republican legislatures against censure?
I'm pretty sure he has bigger fish to fry than that.
Never count out Machiavellian.
Steve, can you look up at the friendly amendment and see if this is acceptable to you?
It's not on yours.
Not yet.
It's on mine.
Okay. Anyone else to speak for or against? We still have some time left.
We're here.
Go ahead.
Brenda Platt, SD 12, against the motion, Chairman.
Okay.
What's to keep a House rep who's not voting like a Republican to start not making excuses for not showing up? For example, they have no excuse not to show up. Jared Patterson didn't show up to his, and so he had someone from his office staff come, and there was probably over 150 people at the county chair meeting, at the CEC meeting, and spoke for Jared Patterson. And so I think that if they can't come to speak, they can have someone from their office come to speak for them. There's no excuse for them not to come to represent themselves.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, go ahead, Gene.
Until the
For or against?
against. Until the revision was put up there, I was undecided, but as changed, that says I can't bring a censure proceeding against the county judge.
That's why I said. my
Or
original
anybody,
intent,
I mean,
legislators.
it does not limit it to legislature members.
Yeah, my original language said a state legislator.
Can we put no censure proceeding
Proceeding
against
of a
state
state legislator,
of a
or a
state
Texas.
legislator? Steve, is that acceptable? Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Gene? Okay, anyone else for or against? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor of the amendment, which is the underlined red language up there, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. The noes have it, the motion fails. Moving on. Steve, did you have another one?
One more.
Okay.
And I'm gaining on y'all. All right, goes right after, at the end of the process session. And this is just to clarify, because from what I saw, the executive committees are kind of all over the map about their procedure and things that they do. All censorship resolutions must be submitted with detailed written minutes. The resolution must have a signature page confirming the attendance, quorum, and vote of the precinct chair. No secret ballots are allowed. And this is a transparency issue. Shut up.
Okay. Does that language reflect your proposed amendment? Steve? Does that reflect?
I could
your
not hear
amendment? Can you just confirm?
Is there a reference to minutes? Okay. Okay. Yes.
Thank you. Is there a second? Last chance. Is there a second?
I'll second. Grant Dunwoody, SD7.
Okay, second by Grant. Steve, do you want to speak to your amendment?
Yes. One point is there seems to be a underlying reference that this is delaying our any kind of censorship type thing or anything. I'm a big person on process as far as, you know, the being consistent and being transparent on everything. I was on the SREC and I voted Joe Strauss was censured by one vote, and I'd like to think it was my vote that put him over. And so I've walked in with this stuff, and every year we change the rules and everything, and we get executive committees that do it properly. A lot of them don't, but if we have a consistent way of doing things, we're sure when it gets to the SREC level, everything is consistent, and we know that they had a quorum, we know that it was properly done, and that it's all transparent. And that is a fundamental part of being a conservative, is transparency. And I think it'll make things a lot easier on the SREC to determine whether this is valid or not, a valid censorship or not.
Thank you. Anyone else for or against? Go ahead, Susan.
One of the reasons I'm against this is because of the first sentence about submitted with detailed written minutes. Unless you define exactly what that is and the definition of the process to get there, that would not be consistent at all, because the amount of work that is done prior and how much conversation that would have to be made depends on the county, and as well, even then, what would be captured in those minutes would be varied and dramatically, unless you had details of what those minutes are. And I think when you try to define that this motion's that part of the motion would fail.
Mr. Chairman, would she accept a friendly amendment, or it wouldn't be a friendly amendment, but striking the word detail?
She can't accept a friendly amendment. She could propose a friendly amendment to you. That's up to her. Okay. She does not want to do that.
Not-
Anyone else?
I'd like to propose a quick friendly amendment.
Go ahead,
to
Carmen.
A few things. Flipping the words from and originating, I think that's just grammatical. It doesn't sound right to me. Striking the word detailed and adding the word S after precinct chair, precinct chairs, or change that to the CEC.
Steve, do you accept that?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
It's accepted.
Against.
Gene, let me get, and then Dan. Gene, what's up?
In line with making some small changes, I would add the word "an," A-N, in front of executive committee. I would suggest changing the word confirming to documenting. And instead of, well, and vote of the CEC, I actually liked where it said precinct chair, but to say each, so that it records what the vote is.
What about executive committee?
That could be just 20 in favor, 15 against. I think you should have a record vote.
Okay. But the wording as put up there, is that acceptable for your proposed friendly amendment?
Sure.
Steve?
Yes, yes.
You accept it? Okay, thank you. Okay, go, Dan?
Daniel Hunt, SD3. I have a couple problems with this. First of all,
Speaking
I'm
against?
speaking against, yes. I don't know why we need a signature page documenting attendance. The minutes should indicate who was present. Second of all, I don't like a detailed list of who voted for and who voted against. All that does is create a target list for whoever's being censured to be threatened or file a lawsuit against. I think the people should be able to vote their will knowing, without the fear of repercussion. I think they should be able to be honest.
Thank you. Anyone else for or against?
Brandon Moore, SD21.
Yep.
I'm in favor of this, but I also do have a potential friendly amendment. From what Mr. Martin was recommending, add the word record in front of vote.
You want to add record in front of vote?
Yes, sir. So it reads, and record vote of the executive committee.
Does the author accept that?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as speaking to this, our legislators are required to make record votes so we know how they're voting. Our SREC are required to make record votes so we see how they are voting. And I understand the arguments of retaliation, but we are taking on a process and trying to put things out there in such a way that I think we should be able to have a record vote there. It's consistent, it's equitable, and our other options, of course, are the ballot box. There's nothing that prohibits the precinct chairs from getting out and working against these people next primary and everything else as well. So that's why I support the amendment as written.
Thank you. Randy?
Ronald Dunning, SD2. I rise in opposition to this amendment. And there have already been examples of people being threatened to be sued. Now let's take the legislature. The legislature makes roll call votes and votes of record, as does the Congress. And there are specific protections so that they cannot be sued or intimidated for their votes. And they cannot be held even legally accountable for the words that they use on the floor of the House. So what you're asking for here is the executive committee that enjoys no such protections in a case where we've already seen legal action threaten to try to control this vote. And now what we're basically doing is handing over the target list to someone who would like to subvert this process by personal lawsuits. So I object to this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll vote on the amendment. Oh, do you have something, Dan?
Dan Pickens, SD 28. I rise in support of this. This is exactly what we did in 71, almost verbatim. And you are correct, they will come after you. We lost half of the precinct chairs. But you've got to do what's right, and what's right is, there's no problem with recorded vote. They've got members in there, and they know how you vote anyway, okay? Because it is a roll call vote, all right? So what's wrong with a record vote? They're going to get it anyway. It's time to stand up. This is exactly what we were told to do when we actually passed the censor.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none. Oh, Dan.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Dan Hunt, SD3. Again, I speak against. If we do a secret ballot vote, nobody knows who voted how. And the whole point is it's not the precinct chair censuring, it's the CEC censuring as the whole body.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we're going to take a vote. This is a vote on the amendment on the screen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Noes have it, but I want to do a standing vote. Everyone stand up who votes yes and aye, or aye. And everyone who votes nay? And the nays have it, the motion fails.
Point of information?
Yes.
Will anybody be targeted for this vote?
Just by me, no.
Should have requested a secret vote.
We haven't had a record vote yet. Justin?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for an amendment. Ms. Hooper, did you receive my email?
The answer is maybe.
You want me to send it to you?
Hold on. We got it.
You got it? All right. So I would move for the addition of subsection E, which provides in all proceedings under this rule, the question of whether to issue a censure and what penalty to recommend or impose, if any, shall be voted upon separately.
Okay. Does that reflect your amendment?
It does.
Is there a second? Thank you. Do you want to speak on your motion?
Yes, sir. So the purpose of the motion is, my understanding was last year when a lot of CECs and the SREC were going through this process, it was submitted as a package deal. So if a member disagreed with this level of sanction being imposed, in times they felt compelled to vote against the censure resolution in its entirety. And it was my understanding, getting feedback, that people would like the option to issue a censure without, and then further debate on which penalty 1, 2, and/or 3 is appropriate. And when it was submitted as a package, it was harder for them to get on board in some instances, or they had fundamental disagreements that kept votes going across the finish line. So I think by separating those two questions purely procedurally, it allows them to be considered independently, and you get a cleaner view of whatever committee's voting on, how they feel.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Chairman, against the amendment.
What's that?
Against the amendment.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm against this, not because I disagree with the principle, but I don't think it's necessary. The way that it works is if you're a CEC, you can censure the rep, and you can ask for 1 or more penalties. So the county executive committee still gets to decide if they want to ask for all 3 penalties, if they want to only ask for penalties 1 and 2, but keep penalty 3 off the table. I mean, that can all be done through the normal process for amending a resolution. So I don't think that this language adds anything meaningful to the process. No, that's a good point.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Robert Gray, SD6. I'd like to make an amendment to the amendment. So this, in between all and proceedings, the second and third word, let's add SREC. So it would say in all SREC proceedings instead of just all. That's my motion.
So you're wanting to apply it to SREC proceedings only and not CECs?
That's correct.
Can I have a point of information? And forgive me for not knowing this rule a little better then, since I drafted it, but is the gentleman from SD8 correct that CEC kind of passes an omnibus resolution and imposition of the ultimate penalty is by SREC? So if that is the case, then I'm happy to accept that as a friendly amendment so we can get, so we're not adopting things that don't apply.
Yeah, that's my understanding
Okay,
of the rule as it's currently formulated.
I think the
with the caveat that it might not end up that way.
I think the gentleman from District 8 was correct that this, but I think the gentleman from 6 is also correct, so I would be willing to accept that as a friendly amendment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. I don't believe the amendment was seconded. I might be mistaken.
It was seconded.
Was it? Okay, all right.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else for or against? Seeing none, we're going to move to vote now. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed?
Yay!
The noes have it, the motion fails. Anything else on Rule 44?
I have an amendment. Proposal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Craig, do you want to do?
Okay, yeah, I have an
Then
amendment
we'll
I
do
wanted
yours.
to propose. I sent Rachel the text already. She may be adding that in here.
We follow you, man.
Craig, which one's yours? Just. No, like, how substantive is it?
There's like six or seven tweaks to the existing language.
You have 6 or 7 tweaks to existing language? Okay.
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
And Matt, you have one? Can you raise your hand if you have Rule 44 amendments? We're going to try to organize this, given the discussion of the motion to table before. Okay. Greg, we're going to do Craig and Matt, because they amend, they're small amendments to the existing language. And then yours and Dan's are more extensive rewrites. So then we'll be able to take those up. It looks like once we do Craig and Matt, we're pretty much done with the smaller rewrites. Okay. So let's do Craig's, and we'll do Matt's. It's a majority. It's a majority. Yeah. So you have to, for the session, it's gone. No, because it's still the same proceeding. Yeah. Okay. Craig, does that
Yes, that's what I sent in.
reflect?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, there's changes throughout, so I'm going to have Rachel scroll so you can see them. There's the cross out of 2/3 to 3/5. There is the 3 or more actions during the current term or 6 or more actions during the current term and or previous terms. There's that strike through. Is that Craig's? Okay. Then applicable to the actions taken. Under penalties, they changed the SREC vote from a 3/5 to a majority vote. Penalty 1.
It combines penalty 1 and temp penalty 2.
Yep. Go down. 48 months is the duration. County or executive committee member replaced in subsection B. Go ahead, down. And that's it.
That's it.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Brenda Platt, precinct,
Randy Dunning, second. Craig, do you want to speak on your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Craig Liccardi, SD1. So this is not a complete rewrite, but there are some definitely areas that would need to be tweaked to make this a little bit stronger. When we elect our employees and they choose, instead of following well, we all know the reason we've got Rule 44. So changing from 2/3 of an EC to 3/5. And then instead of just the current biennium, it can take into account their past actions, because we all know that sometimes they get elected over and over and over, and there's a history of many sessions of working contrary to our legislative priorities. And then adding in the then applicable, what that means is if somebody is violating alleged priority from 2 years ago or 3 years ago, 2 sessions ago maybe, we can't hold them accountable to, we're holding them accountable to the legislative priorities that were in effect at that time, if that makes sense. For the SREC to concur, just a majority. And then there is one strikeout also under the penalties after majority, after the red.
Yeah, it's the be authorized, so it requires that the SREC spend
Right.
12%
So
of the party's fund.
In the several years since 2020, when we put that in place, I don't think the RPT has ever, the SRAC has ever mailed out postcards telling voters in District 72 or whatever why their representative got censured. And so this would require us to, the SREC to go ahead and send those out or by email or whatever.
My chopped liver? I did, come on.
What's that?
I said, I did. I sent out postcards.
And then consolidating penalty 2, the old penalty 2 into penalty 1, and then what is currently penalty 3, just calling that penalty 2, and that'll be, that's the more extreme penalty, and make the disallowal, 48 months instead of 24 months of keeping them off of the primary ballot. Using the Republican brand is something that somebody who has taken our brand through the mud intentionally, they shouldn't be allowed to continue to use it. And then adding in the protections to the precinct chairs as well. So I would really appreciate your support. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, Andy Eller, SD24, Andy Eller, SD24.
Yep.
Would it be appropriate to move to divide the question at this point to each piece of those?
Yes, you can do a motion.
Then I move to divide the question and take up each one of those individually.
It's a motion to divide the question into how many different pieces?
Well, each one of those changes I think should be taken up individually because I may be for some of them, but not for some of the others. And same thing with the other members of this committee.
So you're talking about each section, the changes in each section, or each of the?
Each change. So for instance, the 2/3 to 3/5, that's a change. The next one down, or 6 days, that's a change. That's what I'm asking for, each one of those.
Okay, there's a motion to divide the question. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Gene.
Point of information?
Yes, please state your point of information.
If you divide the question, does that also divide the debate for each section? Or will we debate the whole thing in one and then take a vote on each one?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
And a motion to divide the question is not debatable. So
Mr. Chairman?
it is amendable. It's not debatable. And it's a majority vote. Yes.
Brenda Platt, SD12, I make a motion to strike this amendment.
No, that's not in order right now.
Say, yeah, point of order, because I have a motion on the floor right now.
Yeah, there's a motion on the floor. It's the motion to divide the question. It's not debatable, so we'll proceed to a vote. Yes. Yes.
I'd like to make an amendment to consider the division by section.
Okay.
That's amendable.
It is an amendable motion. There's been a motion to consider the amendments by section. So
Second.
there's a second by Craig. It's not debatable. We'll vote. The first motion is the motion to amend the original motion. So this is a vote now on whether or not to consider the division by section instead of each individual crossout. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it. The motion passes. So now on the amended motion, this is the motion to divide. A yes vote is to consider each amendment by section separately. A no vote is to consider the entire amendment as a whole. So all in favor of the motion to divide the question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. We'll consider now the first section, which is the changes to Rule 44A. Craig or anybody else, do you want to talk specifically about these? Anyone want to debate? No?
Mr. Chairman, I do want to speak against this now.
Okay, point of information, Brenda. It's not on the live dot. It's going to be up on the screen. Andy,
Okay.
speaking against.
Because we're talking about Section A there, the process.
Against, correct?
I do want to speak against this. I raised to speak in opposition. The section where it talks about 6 or more actions during the current term and/or previous terms, that is in violation of the prior term doctrine, also known as the forgiveness doctrine, which is a legal and political defense in Texas, which is asserting that an elected official cannot be impeached, removed, or suspended for an alleged offense committed prior to their most recent election, particularly if the electorate was aware of this misconduct. So stepping back into a previous term is a problem. That's why I wanted a complete division of the question, but because of that, I have to speak out against everything in that section.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Would it be in order to make an amendment to remove specific sections in this section?
Yes, amendments to the amendment are in order. Matt, I want to call on you first.
I'm speaking against, since we're on the same section, the change to 3/5. I think we should leave it at 2/3. That is a reasonably good number. It's not a huge difference, but I think a 2/3 statement from the executive committee makes more sense and shows more conviction to the censure than a 2/3 vote.
Thank you.
Than a 3/5 vote, sorry.
Hearing no more discussion, we will proceed to a vote. And we're talking about subsection A, just those changes. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. All opposed?
Nay.
The nays have it. The motion fails. Next section. We're doing penalties now? Okay. We're not able to get it any bigger because of the size of the section. But the penalties section is now under consideration, which is the change of a 3/5 vote of the full membership of the SREC to a majority vote of the SREC. In addition of the language in red, the SREC shall declare that the named office holder is discouraged from participating in the Republican Party primary election following the censure passage, crossing out of be authorized, and crossing out of penalty 2.
No, it's too late. It's already been killed.
Well, I guess it puts penalty 2 into penalty 1. Changes the period during which the state chairman or county chairman may refuse to accept any application to a 48-month period from a 24-month period. And then we're not taking the change in B, just under the penalties section. Do you want
Mr.
to
Chairman?
do you want to speak to your amendment, Craig?
I'm sorry. Please, someone just talk to me.
Sorry, do you want to speak to this section of your amendment?
Yes.
Please
Yes,
proceed.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Okay, so in this section, basically changing for the SREC members, changing it to a majority instead of a 3/5, and just moving penalty 2 into penalty 1, merging them together because they all kind of go together, and then indemnifying, or making it 48 months instead of 24, increasing that length of time. That'd be 2 election cycles. And then, and of course, as has been referenced previously a couple of times, any representative or senator or whichever they're free to run as a Democrat or run as an independent or the Green Party or Libertarian or whatever they want, just not using our brand after they have egregiously destroyed our brand in their actions. And then adding in the executive committee members in the indemnification process.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, point of inquiry, Andy Eller, SD 24.
Yes.
I thought we were just doing under penalties, but not including B. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we're
That's correct.
We're just doing.
B is a separate section. It's just up there because.
Okay, yeah, it's just that it had been mentioned, and that's why I was wondering. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure that
thought
was
we were
just
doing
an
the whole-
oversight.
My bad.
Mr. Chairman, speaking against?
Yes.
And everybody should
anyone-
have a copy of
You're
this. I emailed it to the whole.
Matt Patrick, speaking against.
Matt Patrick, SD 16. I'm speaking against the change from 3/5 to majority. You know, we've reviewed this rule multiple times over the last couple of cycles, and it is supposed to be, censure was structured, so it is supposed to be a difficult thing to do. And it's supposed to be used relatively rarely for really terrible violations. And I think those violations should be objective and not subjective, but that's not in this section. So I think that we should leave it at 3/5. On the 48 months, what Andy talked about last time continues to be true. I would suggest that we stay with that. And then on the change where we're mandating that the SREC spend 12% of the party's general fund, I don't think that we should be mandating that the SREC spend money. I think they need to make that, have the authority to make that decision on their own based on their current financial situation. It depends on how much money they've raised and what their expense levels are for other things. But we give them the option to, and we have in fact spent money before. In fact, Chairman Rinaldi did that once, if not, I think twice with Gonzalez. I'm not sure if we've done that, but we have done that before. So I don't think anybody can say that the SREC is not fulfilling its responsibility or the RPT is not willing to go out and take that action when it's warranted. So those are my thoughts. I would vote in favor of it otherwise, but those things I'm against, so.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, we will vote. All in favor of the changes indicated up on the board, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
The nays have it. The motion fails. Next section. We're going to do on B. So any county chairman or executive committee member who applies the provisions of Rule 44 and thereby becomes the subject of a lawsuit shall be indemnified. So it expands the indemnification provision to include executive committee members?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And is that defined as county executive committee members or state Republican executive?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Is that county executive committee also, or just state executive?
Correct, county executive committee.
Got it.
The county chairman or
executive committee.
or
member.
county,
Okay.
it's county level.
Do you want to speak to your amendment?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Craig Liccardi, SD1. We've discussed this already some, but when legislators are threatening lawsuits against precinct chairs, the precinct chairs need to know that the state party's got their back and that we believe in the rules that we're passing here. We believe in the work that we're putting together, the work product that comes out of this millions of man hours every 2 years is something that we believe in and that we wholeheartedly want to see implemented at the legislature. And so when folks go against that, when elected officials violate all of the work that we do here and work contrary to what we're trying to accomplish, when they're running the ball the wrong way down the field on purpose, and we call them out for it, if they're going to threaten to sue us for saying, hey, you're running the wrong way, well, then the state party should be indemnifying and taking care of the county chairs and also the precinct chairs, the county executive committee members.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment to the amendment. Matt Patrick, SD 16.
Please state your amendment to the amendment.
My amendment is for section of B from the first, any county chairman, all the way down to the last sentence, so where it ends in related to any suit, that be
Say that
stricken.
again for me.
So the only thing that would remain in section B would be the last sentence that says, "The state chairman shall defend in court any suit against the party arising from the application of rule number 44," and that should be any suit against the state party.
Yeah, that changes the intent of the motion, so that's not an amendment that's in order.
So can it be made subsequently?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Anyone else for or against? Do you want to speak for or against, or?
Is there a second?
For or against? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss that?
I didn't hear a second.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second. Grant Dunwoody, SD7.
Thank you. Thanks for catching me on that. I appreciate it. Anyone else want to speak for or against? Go ahead.
David Westbrook, SD19.
Andy, you seconded it.
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
I just said I said I did not hear a second.
The whole thing was seconded already.
Someone seconded it over there.
Got it. I did. No, you seconded the original motion, which was then,
Yeah, the original motion.
yes. Go ahead, sorry.
I oppose this particular amendment just as, I think I've already said a couple times now, I was on the committee that started this whole 44 thing. And the indemnification was there.
For or against?
I'm against. The indemnification was provided to county chairs because county chairs would have to violate the law in order to do this. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't know of any law that would be violated by the CEC chairs voting to do it. It's not, because they're not the ones actually doing the enforcement. There's nothing there to indemnify them against. Except, you know, I get that people are threatening them with lawsuits, but Texas has anti-SLAPP legislation on the books that would protect those people from those lawsuits.
Thank you. Anyone else? Craig, go ahead.
Chairman. Craig Liccardi, SD1, speaking in favor of my amendment. We're finding ourselves in a situation much like Nehemiah did in the Old Testament. There were some problems. He went to go rebuild a wall, and our job is to build that wall that's going to protect and support and defend what we say that we believe in as Republicans. When we say that we believe in conservative values and folks that we elect under our brand fight against us, and then they're going to turn around and try to sue us for calling them out for their misdeeds, for the chicanery and all the mess and the shenanigans that they're just, we don't need, what this does is it gives protection against the Sanballats and the Tobiahs that are trying to destroy the work of God that we're trying to do. So we need to pass this. Thank you.
Thank you. John, you had your hand up.
I would like to offer an amendment to the amendment.
Go ahead, please proceed.
Right after the Rule 44 on there, I would like to insert a comma, where the SREC has concurred with the recommended penalties, comma. Recommended.
We don't know.
I would put recommended
At that point,
penalties.
They're threatening lawsuits before the vote's even been taken at the CEC level.
And the reason is I was a proxy for,
Do you want to see if he'll accept it?
will you accept it? Who had it?
Is it a friendly amendment or just an amendment to amend?
It's just up there in black.
He's asking if you accept that.
Do you accept that as a friendly amendment? Yeah.
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is there a second?
because they're going to sue you before the SREC even acts.
Who was that?
They're going to threaten a lawsuit before the SREC
Thanks, Rick.
even has a chance
Okay.
to
Do
Yeah,
you want to speak in favor of?
Mr. Chairman, parliamentary inquiry, SD8.
Yes.
Sorry, SD8. Is this germane? Is this proposal germane to the original amendment that we're,
Yes.
okay?
It's, I mean, it specifically deals with the circumstances under which the SREC and the state party will be required to indemnify county parties.
Are we ready?
Please proceed. Hold on.
Okay, this is kind of a do the work amendment. I'm all for indemnifying the county parties. I'm about to be a county chair again, whether I wanted to be or not. And I was served as a proxy on a lot of the SREC work this last time. I saw a lot of the censures that didn't make it to the SREC. We need to be sure, as our good friend Jim Pickle likes to call it, whenever we're imposing the death penalty, we need to be sure that we do the work, and we need to do the work at the level that the penalty's being recommended from. And with that being said, having some skin in the game will make you think about it a lot more. And so that was the gist of this. If the SREC concurs, they should indemnify them. But if there's no concurrence with the censure that's made, because at that point it is a censure, if there's no concurrence with the censure that is made, then the work needs to have been done.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Susan.
Susan Lucas, SD5. My question is this latest amendment going to be voted on separate from the rest of that B section?
The first thing we're going to do, which is the motion on the table right now, is whether or not to amend the motion for consideration. So if you vote yes, you would vote to add that language, and then we'll ultimately consider the whole rule in a separate vote. But you could then also vote for or against.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Oh, over here.
Let me, go ahead.
Look at me, or, okay.
Are you for or against?
I'm against. I'm against the addition of the highlighted language.
Okay. Go ahead.
Grant Dunwoody, SD7. The purpose of having an indemnity in here is to prevent people being sued for their vote. And if we're going to say that 58% of the SREC could vote for the censure, but it didn't quite get to 60%, so it's fair game for all of these members of the county exec committees to be sued. I don't think so. I think that's wrong. I think the proposed highlighted language should be stricken or not approved.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Daniel Hunt, ST3, I speak against.
Okay.
The problem with this is that before the county executive committees are even meeting to consider a censure, the representatives are threatening censure. They're not waiting till after the SREC acts. So I don't know where this is going to, this isn't going to help anything, and in fact, it will probably eliminate 100% of the censures.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Chris Bird, SD 25, would like to speak against the amendment to the amendment.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's probably not a secret that this does go on, particularly up in northern part of Texas. I think the spirit of what the SREC is wanting to do is to encourage full participation, grassroots level on up, who really have the eyes on the ground. And I think the amendment to the amendment, with all due respect, will have a chilling effect on the spirited involvement that we are encouraging at the county level to keep their own respective representatives held accountable and to be able to speak freely about situations if they don't believe they're in line with our priorities or our platform and principles. This would ask them to forecast if they can determine if the SREC is going to concur, which is kind of a crapshoot on any given day. So I think it would have overall a chilling effect, and I would vote against it.
Thank you.
Point of information.
Yes.
Can the penalties be enacted without the SREC voting to censure?
Not currently.
Okay. And
We don't know how it'll end up.
a follow-up point of order, does the county executive committee enforce any
information?
penalty, or point of information, sorry. Do they enforce any of the penalties? Do they accept applications to be on the ballot or anything like that?
So
Is that solely, in the election code, solely on the county?
county
mayor?
executive committee members do not accept applications to be on the ballot. The county chairman obviously do accept applications to be on the ballot.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move to a vote. This is on the amendment, on John's amendment to the amendment, which is just to add the highlighted language to the amendment. And then we'll vote on the amendment after. All in favor of the amendment to the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. The noes have it. The motion fails. Now we are on Greg's original amendment in subsection B. Is there anyone else speaking for or against?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak for it.
Go ahead, Chris.
Chris, ST 25. Not to repeat some of the words that I said just a minute ago, but as a practical matter, and we are encouraging through the rule for censorships to come up through a various county that is represented by the law office holder in question. And it is at this level where the CEC individual members do get to exercise their right to vote and right to be heard. So I do think that recognizing as a practical matter, as we've already seen threatened in several places, that a single CEC member may in fact find themselves threatened to be sued or in fact sued for simply exercising what I would call their right to association. So I very much see the need for this and very much would be in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you. And time's up now for the four speakers. Does anyone want to speak against?
I'll speak against. Carmen Calderon, SD 27. I'm only speaking against it because I think it's unnecessary due to the answers from your point of information. The CEC taking a vote, I don't think is a suable act. Now, when the penalties are put in and the county chair has to deny ballot access, that's when you could be sued. So I don't see the need for this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Just if you're against. You're against?
I'm against, so if somebody else wants to go.
No, you're good. That's all we got left.
Mr. Chairman, Daniel Hunt, SD3.
2 minutes.
Very quickly, anybody can sue anybody for anything. The point is, the people don't have the money to hire an attorney and go through the process, plus they're scared to death of the threat of a lawsuit. People who aren't attorneys don't understand the whole legal process, and they're scared.
You against the amendment? We're off the amendment.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm for, I'm sorry.
Okay, we're done with that then.
I'm for the
Right.
red.
We've hit the
Okay,
debate time
never
on
mind.
that.
Sorry.
So no one else against? Okay, we'll vote. All in favor of, this is the amendment, adding or county executive member 2 times in subsection B. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
The ayes stand up, please. Everybody who's for, stand up. Okay. All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment.
Go ahead.
For section B, which we
Wait,
just,
we're gonna finish with Craig's because we have his divided motion now on the table. Is there anything else? Or is that it? Okay. Now we're gonna take up, okay, Matt.
all right, Mr. Chairman, under that section, under penalties B, so my amendment is to strike the first full sentence, which runs from any county chairman down to related to any suit. And then the only thing left would be the state chairman will defend in court any suit against the state party arising from the application of rule number 44.
Can you come over here and show her what you want to do? What do you want to go to?
He should read the room and say, okay, my motion's not going to pass. Let's quit wasting time.
Should I say that? Because I'm. Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Point of information.
Yes.
I'm wondering if Matt has read the room. He's taken out what we just overwhelmingly voted for. I mean, does he really need to make that motion to literally get it shot down and waste our time?
It's not a proper motion for information.
That's a point of order
Just-
or whatever.
Just debate and voted.
Second.
He wants to take out the indemnification altogether.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Yes.
Since we've already voted on this and then there's a sudden motion to delete everything that was voted on, is that proper according to parliamentary procedure?
Yes, because the original motion was non-germane to the motion that was being considered. So, and I ruled it non-germane specifically because it contravened the purpose. So he can move to amend even though we just passed such language. Otherwise, you would not have a vote at all on what he's proposing.
Okay, thank you.
That's what he wants. That's his proposal. Okay. Does anyone, the proposed language is up here. Is there a second? Second by Becky Green. Matt, do you want to speak to your motion?
Sure. There's been a lot of talk about how people are frightened and legislators are threatening, and I'm not denying any of that. But what I am concerned with is the separation of authority from responsibility. If you as a precinct chair or you as a county executive committee believe strongly enough that your representative has committed acts that are so egregious that he should be censured for them, then stand up. Stand up and take responsibility for the actions that you're taking. You're big boys, you're big girls. This is serious business. And if you want to censure somebody, by all means do it. I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from censuring a representative if you think you deserve it. But you cannot, it is morally repugnant to me for you to assert that you are not responsible for your own actions. This is the Republican Party. This is not the Democrat Party. And if you try to say, hey, I want to take these actions and I'm going to go hammer my guy, oh, look to me. If he sues, that's on you. You can't ask the state party to do it. Well, we don't have any money. We're poor. We're volunteers. Well, yeah, that's true. So where do you think this money tree is coming from? You think the state party has $1 million reserve fund to defend against lawsuits from across the state? One entity for 254 counties, 54 different executive committees? You think the state party has the responsibility to defend all of you? I'm sorry, but that's absurd. And if that's the way you're thinking, I don't think that you should be doing this. You're going to go beat your guy, go beat him at the ballot box. And we shouldn't be using these kind of censures when we're planning to run for office and we're trying to knock out the existing representatives so that we can run for their spot, and we're sort of using this abusively. And if we shift the responsibility to the state party, that opens the door to all kinds of mischief from people who just want to try to run for the legislature themselves. And I think that's wrong. And if we're not thinking about those things, then shame on us. I think this indemnification is absolutely wrong. I think the state party is responsible for defending the state party's actions and the actions of the SREC. And I think they should do that. I think that they should be. Your county executive committee should defend itself. Go buy an insurance policy. Raise money before you decide to censure. So I don't think that we should, in any way, have an indemnification that extends beyond the actions of the people that are responsible for themselves. So if the state SREC, the state party can indemnify SREC, your county party should be the ones indemnifying you, not the state party.
Rohit Joy, SD8, against.
Okay,
This amendment.
go ahead.
Yeah, so my understanding is the reason for this provision is because the state party, if they apply penalty 3, let's say, right, they are authorizing and directing the county chair to reject the ballot application from somebody who's had that penalty applied. So, I mean, that's the reason why the state party is directing them to do it, so that's the reason why. If the county chair is then sued, it makes sense for the state party to provide that indemnification. It's not because the county chair is the one instigating it or anything like that necessarily.
Thank you.
Chairs.
For or against?
Against.
Anyone for?
I would be against.
Against? Okay, Dan, go ahead.
Daniel Hunt, SD3. I don't know how many of y'all have been to a rural county, probably most of us, because most of Texas is rural. The rural counties, the precinct chairs, the county chairs don't have money for insurance. They don't have money to hire an attorney. They don't have money to fight a lawsuit. But they're doing the job. A county party is a subset of the state party. And they're doing the job they're being asked to do, which is to run an election, to run the convention, and to keep an eye on their elected officials. And that's what we're asking them to do. They don't get paid anything to do it. And then these elected officials are literally scaring the crap out of these people, threatening a lawsuit. So why are we protecting the SRECs if we're not protecting the county chairs? What's the point? This is absolutely absurd. There will be 0 censures if we do this. 0.
Yes, please state your point of information.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, what funds are available to the state party for dealing with ballot challenges or legal challenges of this nature?
legal challenges relating to filing are funded from filing fees.
Okay.
For candidates filing with the state party.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Do filing fees from county parties go to the state party?
They do not.
Mr. Chairman, point of information.
Yes.
Point of information.
Go ahead, John.
Mr. Chairman, is each county party truly a subset of the state party, or do they stand on their own as their own organization and club?
I mean, they stand on their own as as their own organization, certainly. Let's go. Are you speaking? Who has motions or points of information?
Motion.
Okay. Who wants to speak for? And who? Okay. Against now. Susan, go ahead.
I wanted, this is Susan Lucas, SD5, and you keep talking about the county party and them being an issue. If the state party chair, who does the vast majority of representatives, because of multi-county representatives who are representing most of the county, are you going to deny a county chairman that right when you're going to protect the state party chair?
Anyone else for or against?
I'm against.
Let's go Chris, and then.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chris Byrd, SD 25. I'm speaking against the amendment, not to repeat my previous statements, but I would agree completely with the sentiments of Member Patrick if Rule 44 did not require any action at the county level, but it does. As a practical matter and as a rule matter, it absolutely does. The SREC under the current rule would have no opportunity to censor anyone if there was not support that came to the SREC from the county. If we want to change the rule so that now it's not required of a county to do that, then I could completely understand the question or the comments, but that's not the case. It's not going to be the case. And in fact, if we're going to encourage counties and the grassroots holding the lawmakers accountable and then turning around and say, well, the minute that you act in good faith, in good conscience, you exercise your right to be heard, you exercise your right to vote, but you're on your own, I would be against that. Vote against this, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Point of information
Yes.
from Calhoun SD 27. Do the county parties have to abide by these rules?
By the rules on censure?
This entire rule package, the
Yes.
state party rules that we're working on.
Yes.
Yes? Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Do you have a point of information? You want to speak against? We're out of time for against. So we're going to proceed to a vote. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. All opposed?
Nay.
The noes have it, the motion fails. Okay, what do we have left? I know we have the tabled motion, we have Mr. Parker's motion. Is there anything other than those two left?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I do have an amendment that really shouldn't be of any kind of controversy at all. It should take just a couple minutes.
Go for it.
In the current Rule 44E, the statement, I swear or affirm under penalty of perjury, have not been censured under Rule number 44 of the Republican Party of Texas by the SREC or a state convention in the preceding 24 months. If that stands and was applied, everyone that was censured this time would not have gotten to run in the primary based on the plain reading of that. I would only like to insert and had penalty 3 applied by the SREC after censured I have not been censured and have had penalty 3 applied by the SREC. It's, again, it's not one that should really generate any conversation at this point.
Parliamentary inquiry?
Please state your, who is it?
Were any of these censures actually upheld by the SREC this term?
Oh, yeah.
There were censures upheld, penalty 3 was not applied.
Right. So they were censured, back to the point, they were censured. And based on the plain reading of that, they should have answered yes, which goes on to say, you can't run. Yes.
Hold on one second. Is there a second? Second. Second by Gene. Do you want to speak to yours or?
More than I have, not really.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak for or against?
Mr. Chairman, Daniel Hunt, a
Yes,
point
go
of
ahead.
information.
Go ahead.
SD3, sorry. What exactly is the motion?
The motion is to add that language. And is penalty 3?
And, okay, thank you.
Letter
Thank you.
spelled out or is it a number?
Yeah.
The rules to keep it consistent.
Been applied.
I'm okay with that.
Or, I don't care how.
Yeah. So it's to add the underlying language.
Got it.
Anyone else for or against? Craig?
Craig Liccardi, SD1. I rise in opposition to this language by narrowing the application of the of this portion of the rule. It's basically watering it down. It's making it weaker, and we need to be all about making our rules stronger, not weaker. I'm completely against this amendment.
Anyone else?
Yes.
John?
Without a doubt. So where we had penalties 1 and 2 applied, the person had been censured. They couldn't accurately say, no, I haven't been censured. And this rule, or this subsection of the rule, asked them to do that. And they all ran. And we didn't reject applications because we didn't reject applications as this calls for. That's my only thing. I'm not trying to water down anything. I'm trying to make it accurate.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
The noes have it. The motion fails. Anyone else besides Parker, Hunt? Okay. Next, we're going to Parker's amendment.
You have that pulled up already? All righty, as we can see in Rule 44, Section A, it does mention that there are actions that can be taken for actions to be taken to be censored upon, but there is no clear definition of what those actions are. So what I'm proposing is to actually clarify what those actions actually are. And so you can read those here.
Yeah, let me add it to the live doc in
Okay.
a second.
We're going to
because
add it
we're
just,
long.
hold on one second. Do you want time?
So as she's doing that, this would actually add a section. It could be under A or just additional section to renumber and add B to actually add what the actions are that are to be censored.
But it's also in the link.
Okay, it's in the link, so it should be on the live doc, and we're going to scroll right through it so you guys can read. And then I'll have you present the changes in there.
Already. Oh, it's down there at the bottom. Where? Down there at the bottom. Not too far. 44. Right at the bottom of 44. Right there.
Did you get everything? Okay. Is there a second? Hold on. I'll give you time.
Amy Super, SD10, I second that.
Okay. Second by Amy Super. Do you want to present your amendment?
All right. And seeing it, like I mentioned before, this clarifies what the actions are to be taken, whether it be a floor vote, a record vote, actions to stall out legislation, things to that effect, procedural motions and maneuvers to table motions within the House, things to that effect. Those are actually listed here so that there's really no ambiguity around that. And also this like I mentioned before, it removes the ambiguity around that, which since it was really unclear, it can invite legislation, so and provide elected officials cover who are trying to be censored to have cover to say, well, that's not really in actions, and also it takes into account the fact that they can change their vote, not a record vote, but they can change their vote in terms of at least from my mistaken, and statement of vote and things to that effect. They can change it, so it clarifies that of what really constitutes what we're going to hold them accountable to. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Anyone else for or against?
Rohit Joy, SD8 against.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So the reason I'm against it is I think this is overly prescriptive. The danger with being too specific with what counts as an offense is that if there's anything that's not clearly in this list, then that can't be considered an offense. I think it's better to leave it open-ended and flexible. I mean, it's up to the CECs who are initiating the censures to decide for themselves what they consider to be offenses, and then to defend that in their resolution. Yeah, I'd rather not make it, so spelled out like this that there's a danger that, something that people would be considered, people might consider a violation, doesn't fall into one of these neat categories, then can't be considered.
Mr. Chairman, Andrew Eller, SD24.
Yep.
Yeah, I have.
For or against?
Well, this is a point of inquiry.
Okay.
Under 3, controlling vote. I'm trying to understand, and here's where my question's coming from, is during the legislative session, multiple times, you have a second vote and then a third vote on a bill. And oftentimes a legislator might vote for it the second time, but then vote against it on the third time, or vice versa. And for instance, for some of our LPs, we may have said, well, we want this to pass. They voted against it on the second reading. On the third reading, they voted for it correctly. So which is the controlling vote that I would use? So I count the second one against them. So that's my inquiry. I mean, how would I count those?
Do you want to continue to speak in order to address that?
No, that is a valid question, and I was hoping in and of itself that while we go through this process, if there's changes that could be made, meaning I didn't get it exactly right, I'm for making some corrections or friendly amendments to this. I'm not perfect by no stretch of the imagination.
Thank you. Anyone else for or against? Go ahead, Randy.
Randall Dunning, SD2, against. It talks about a public statement made by the office holder in an official capacity. Basically, you're saying punishing someone for what they say on the floor, and I think you can't take that you can't do that to anyone in Congress. They have immunity. That's in 4, I think Section 4, IV. A written or on the record public statement. So I would object on those grounds.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing none, we're going to vote. All in favor of the amendment as reflected on the screen, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. The noes have it. The motion fails. Let's break for dinner. I think we've come towards the end of Rule 44, so we can consider if we have anything else while we're at dinner. I'd like to reconvene here at, let's do 8:15. Tomorrow. 8:15, and we'll stand at ease. 8:15 p.m., not a.m. Not getting off that easy.